The next thing that we have to discuss about the few terms, very important terms, which we have to discuss. The very first term that you can see in your screen is the ecotype. What is the ecotype? This is also called as ecospecies. And what is the meaning of the ecotype or ecospecies? This describes a genetically distinct geographic variety, population, or race which shows variation in phenotype due to genotype and environmental modification. Suppose we have an initial population of maybe any organism. You can take example for a mouse, and suppose immediately we have a generation of the mouse which is started without which is started giving birth, which are not with their tail. So no tail mouse is firstly introduced there. So that particular species is now genetically distinct from the geographic variety because it is not having a tail there. So on that scenario, the population or race which shows a different kind of character from the other geographical characters, the normal population characters. So that particular type of species is called as eco-species or ecotype. That is the meaning of the ecotype. This example can be anything for many, maybe any plant population, maybe any marine population, maybe any insect population or anything. So the new species, which is different from the originated species or the geographical variety, new species would be termed as ecotype or the ecospecies. Generally, the ecotype word is used mainly or very widely for the crop, the agricultural crops. Suppose a new variety is introduced. So that new variety is somewhat genetically different from the older variety or the geographical variety. We will say that that is a kind of ecotype which is introduced in the new environment. So that is what ecotype is. The next term is the ecard. The meaning of ecard is an organism or a kind of organism, such as a species, modified by environment but not genetically. So the species may increase their tolerance towards changing environment by developing ecard and ecotype. Now, what is the ecard? Ecard is also a kind of distinct organism, distinct species organism, you can say, which is different from its source or the geographical environment that you can find out there, but that is not genetically, that is just apparently changed. Suppose if I take a mouse and this time I just cut the tail of that mouse. So now that is a kind of different species looking, but here the genetic modification is not done there. Their progeny of that mouse would be also have tail because the change is not genetically modified. It is change only in the appearance. So such kind of scenario is termed as ecard. So ecard and ecotype both are the similar type, but in the ecotype, the changes would be in genetic variation or in the genes of that organism. In the ecard, the change would be only in the physical appearance. So both the ecard and ecotype is kind of creating a tolerance or showing the adaptation to the changing environment by all the organisms. This is the behavior of all the living organisms present in the environment. So either they will do the ecard or ecotype to survive in the environment. Then we have the ecoline. Ecoline, when phenotypic variation occurs continuously within a population, is called ecoline. So it means a kind of phenotypic change you can see that would you would say that is a card, but it occurs continuously within a population. For example, I have given you the example of the dogs. So if you start moving up in the mountain, immediately you can see the dogs' appearances are changing. Although the species is not changing, the species is same. The genetic material is also same, almost same. Then on that scenario, what would be the scene there? The scene would be there that there is only change in the phenotypic character throughout the line or throughout the range. So that's why this is termed as the eco line. Similarly, is the case of the mosses. The mosses structure and the shape would changes when you are increasing your height in the environment. Then we have the ecotone. Ecotone is an area that acts as a boundary or a transition between two ecosystems. If I give you an example, the estuaries. Estuaries is what? Estuaries is a kind of boundary. Boundary for what? Boundary for both for the ocean as well as for the river. So these estuaries are generally acting as a boundary line for the ocean as well as river, and that kind of all the ecosystems which are in the border of the two different ecosystems, these are termed as the ecotone area. So ecotone is what? Ecotone is an area or the boundary or the transition zone. Suppose one ecosystem is ending in this particular area and another system is ending in this particular area. So this middle zone is termed as the ecotone. For example, marshland is ecotone between the aquatic and the terrestrial ecosystem. Suppose this is the aquatic ecosystem. This is a kind of pond or lake, and this is the terrestrial ecosystem having mountains and all the things. So this area which is near to this pond as well as near to this particular terrestrial ecosystem. So in this place, there would be marshland development. And this marshland is what? This marshland is a kind of ecotone. So this is what ecotone is. So I hope this is clear to you. These are the few important terms that we have to discuss. Then the next term that we have to discuss is these are the formula based terms. The first thing that we have to discuss is the frequency. Frequency of what? Frequency of the species you can find out abundantly in the environment. So the number of plots in which species present divided by the total number of plots. Suppose you want to see how rich or how much is the frequency of any species that you can find out in the environment. Suppose I select my garden. Now my garden is what? My garden is for for an area. You can say that this is a kind of ecosystem, the grassland ecosystem. And now I have selected few areas, 1 meter square, 1 meter square, multiple areas I have selected. Now I will go in this particular areas and I will see what kind of plants I can find out. Suppose a kind of plant which is a grass that I want to see how frequent is that. So suppose I have seen that grass in four quadrants or the four plots out of the six plots. So the frequency of that particular grass would be 4 divided by 6. The number of plots in which this that species you can find out divided by the total number of plots. This is how frequency is calculated. Then density. In the density, I will count that particular grass in all the plots. So I have found the four plots, and now in these four plots, I can see there are total 35 plants of this grass. So the density of that grass here would be 35. That is the total number of individuals in all the plots divided by the total number of plots, that is 6. So this would be density of that grass. Then abundance. Abundance is generally density divided by frequency. So now this is total number of individuals in all plots, that is 35 divided by total number of plots in which species present. So that is again 1, 2, 3, 4. Only four number of plots where the species is present. This can be calculated like density divided by frequency as well. So density I have already calculated, that is 35 divided by 6. And now this is divided by frequency. Frequency is how much? 4 divided by 6. So this will go into the upside and this is now upside down turn back. This is So this is now 6 divided by 4. So 6 and 6 cancel now. So the abundance would be 35 divided by 4. It means in the four plots, I have found these individuals 35 in number. So that is how this is calculated. 35 divided by 4. That is the abundance. So remember the formula of these different terms: frequency, density, and abundance. Abundance can be also calculated as density divided by frequency or with the help of this formula as well. So these are the different formulas which are generally used in the ecology to see the frequency of occurrence of any kind of species. You can see frequency or maybe occurrence of the or the chances of the finding out these species in the different area. So higher would be the frequency, density, abundance. So higher are the chances of finding out these species in the environment. Now, this is the last thing of this unit, that is the productivity of ecosystem. If you can recall, I have told you that I will tell you the productivity of our ecosystems, different ecosystems, in the descending order in the last of this unit. So here it is. This is the productivity of the different ecosystems in terms of NPP. What is NPP? NPP we have already discussed. That is the net primary productivity. So this is based on the net primary productivity. So here you can see highest net primary productivity you can find out in the estuaries. If the unit is kilocalorie per meter square per year, it means here, because the estuaries areas that you can find out in the whole world is very low estuaries area you can find out as compared to the ocean, as compared to the forest, as compared to the desert. So here that's why the total overall productivity of the estuaries all over the globe or world would be low. But if you look at the productivity of the estuary in per meter square area, per unit area, then the productivity would be highest in the estuaries. So I hope this is clear. The two different things or units I have used here. One is the kilocalorie per meter square per year. Another one is the kilocalorie per year. In the kilocalorie year per year, the area is very important here, because higher would be the area, so higher would be the kilocalorie productivity. That is very obvious. And because we have highest amount of oceanic area you can find out, then the highest productivity in kilocalorie per year would be of the ocean. But suppose if you are measuring it in the per meter square area, then the highest productivity of the estuaries. So I hope the both terms are clear to you. Now let's look at the productivity itself. So highest per meter square productivity in kilocalorie per year terms would be of the estuaries. Next would be the swamps and marshes, the wetlands you can say, where majority of the time the soil surface is covered with the water. And tropical rainforest in the third place. Then coniferous forest that you can find out in the temperate zone, and then tropical rainforest you can find out in the tropical zone. Savanna is the grassland which is dry in nature, and these are having only shrubs or grasses in it. So those are the savannas are after the coniferous forest. Then we have the agricultural land after that, then the woodland, the higher tree lands you can say, temperate grasslands. So after a particular height, you cannot see any trees because at that particular altitude they cannot survive. So on that those places, generally you can find out these places in the very high altitude zone. Especially in India, you can see in the Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh only. Then the remaining grasslands you can find out in the European region, because high altitude and low temperature is there. Then the least per meter square area productivity of the ocean and desert. Desert is least among all, and open ocean is the second last year. But in the terms of kilocalorie per year production, so because almost 75%, one third area of our earth is just covered with the ocean. So the highest area of the ocean you can find out. Although the per meter square productivity of the ocean is very low, but when we are talking about the productivity, looking at all the area, the highest productivity you can find out in the open ocean or the ocean. Then next second would be the tropical rainforest, because highest second area you can find out of the tropical rainforest. Then the temperate forest, then the savanna area, then the coniferous forest, then the continental shelf that we have seen in the ocean classification. There, the different areas are divided, and then there is a continental shelf. So continental slope we have, continental shelf we have, and then continental rise we have. Rise is here, slope is here, and this is slope, and this is shelf. So in this shelf area, this is called as the continental shelf area. This productivity is after the coniferous forest, because sunlight is available here. Depth is not too much here. So this is good for the coral reefs and the other plantic plants material or the other things you can say. Then we have the agricultural land here, then the temperate grassland, then again woodland or the higher trees. Then the estuaries are here in the very back, because per meter square productivity high, but estuaries you can find out very less area in all over the globe. That's why the overall productivity is less. Then swamps and marshes, and then last would be of the desert area again. So desert are both the cases in the last. Swamps and marshes are similarly here in this place, because the area of the wetland is very low all over the globe. So this is all about the productivity of different ecosystem. How they can ask a question from this? The question would be very simple. Arrange these following ecosystems in the terms of net primary productivity, maybe in ascending order, maybe in descending order. and they will provide you the unit as well in kilocalorie per meter square or kilocalorie per year. Suppose if unit is not provided, solve it with the kilocalorie per year only. Last time, maybe last time or in the last time, they have asked the question of the productivity of ecosystem arrangement, but they forget to provide the unit. So they have to cancel that particular question and provided bonus number to us. But if they ask you, they will provide you the options based on the provided unit. So unit is very important in such question, productivity of ecosystem. Then you have to arrange all these options, maybe in ascending order, maybe in descending order. I have arranged both the questions here in descending order. You can see highest first and lowest in the last. They can ask you in the ascending order as well. The lowest you have to put in the very first, then the highest would be in the last. So this is all about the productivity of ecosystem, and here your chapter completes of environment biology or environment ecology. The next unit we will start with the geosciences. In the geosciences, we have already covered very good portion, that is the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, their structure, different types of winds, all that we have already covered in unit 1. So we are not going to discuss it again. We will discuss the rocks and minerals here. That one thing is left. Soil. We will discuss soil here in this particular unit. And then that unit would be also completed in maybe next 1 or 2 classes. So that's all about the today. Meet you in the next class with the new chapter.